When it comes to business development, most of the forces in the world will push you toward the short term. But the thing that's most important for your long-term success is to actually give. On my path to building what I think is the world's most comprehensive business development training, I discovered 4 principles that allow top performers to do the work they want with the clients they want. And these techniques are the opposite of selfish. They're gifts for you and for your clients. The first gift is the gift of attention. Showing someone attention is one of the most meaningful things you can do. The science supports this. Researcher Yosuke Otsubo found that over every other factor, the #1 correlation to intimacy is attention. Attention builds trust. It conveys caring, and it deepens relationships. But usually, clients receive this approach instead. First, professionals decide the content they think the clients want to hear. Then, they set an arbitrary amount of material to cover based on the time available. Then, when they get to the meeting, they talk too much, too fast, and leave no room for an actual conversation between 2 human beings. Instead, there's a better solution: to focus on engagement. Your goal should always be to start with the client and their needs. Then, lead the conversation so that those needs are always in focus. To do this, you must listen to your client and adapt to the mode your client is in so that you can shift between the different kinds of support your client actually needs. The first type of support is technical advice. Many professionals rely too much on technical advice as their primary form of support. Technical advice is easy. We're almost always ready to prove our experience. We want to just start doing the work. Instead, pause. Listen. If you don't, you might miss 2 other types of help your client might need. The first of which is emotional support. Here, the client isn't looking for answers. They're looking for someone to listen to them. Often, the issues that face the client are emotionally difficult, but not especially confusing. They know what you do, but they want a space for communication and clear articulation of how they're feeling. Listen with empathy and don't be too quick to jump back to technical advice. You can add a lot of value by being a safe third party that listens. The third form of support is offering strategic ideas. With strategic ideas, you're helping the client think through how to technically approach an important issue, not by providing a solution, but a perspective. You might discuss things you can be hired for or things you can't. The goal is to use the breadth of your experience to explore all the possibilities. Don't be a hammer looking for a nail, thinking the only way you can add value is through your technical expertise. By swiftly switching between all 3 of these modes, you can flex to what the client needs now. You show attention, just like you treat a good friend. The second gift that top performers use to win more business is the gift of understanding. Clients feel when they're being sold to. On the other hand, they can also sense when someone's actually digging in and trying to understand their needs. How you approach asking questions and listening in your meetings is one of the biggest differentiators between you and anyone else pitching to your clients. In fact, here's the usual approach: what we'll avoid doing. It's what earlier stage professionals do in initial meetings, and it just doesn't work. They're probably going to talk about themselves 70% of the meeting, talking about their biggest engagements to establish credibility, throwing everything they know at the client's wall, trying to make something stick. They push the client to fall in love with their stuff, their expertise, teams, and past qualifications. They assume the client wants to see a long PowerPoint presentation covering all the bases. Then they leave 30% of the meeting or less to focus on the client. You'll take a different approach. You're going to get the client talking about their priorities and passions. And the way you do that is to fall in love with their problem. Top performers fall in love with their clients' problems, not their own solutions. The way to do this is to ask great questions. You want to understand their priorities in their own words. Devote 70% of the meeting's time to asking questions and putting the client in focus. Then ask follow-up questions to explore every aspect from their perspective. You're a detective looking for clues of passion so you can fully understand their priorities in their words. Keep asking until you fully understand the situation, sprinkling in insights of your own until their passion dies down. Then and only then, with roughly 30% of the time remaining, should you change topics. By that point, you'll know how to spend the remaining 30% because you'll have heard the exact topics the client's most interested in. And with their needs in mind, you'll be able to share personalized offers of helpfulness. Remember, your client doesn't want a slightly modified boilerplate of your materials. They want you to tailor what you know to their unique situation. Gift 3 is the gift of wisdom. The reality is that people do want your expertise. You have something rare that's taken years or decades to develop. But unfortunately, the way many people present that wisdom makes it difficult to appreciate because they just talk about it. Many professionals share client success stories, serve up some logo soup, and blast out client testimonials. This is like hearing a sommelier sing praises about an expensive bottle of wine. You hope it's good, but it's still risky to buy the bottle. But if the sommelier brings you a small taste, it's awesome. You'll likely buy the bottle and probably a second. The truth is that hearing about something isn't nearly as powerful as experiencing it yourself. That's why instead of just talking, you must find a way to give them the experience of working with you. There's one thing that will determine how fast you grow more than any other factor: the amount of value you provide clients before they choose you. And you can provide that value by using what I call a give to get. Give to gets are offers of immense value provided to the client at no charge. They're worth the effort for you, and they're built to lead to a significant next step. The give to get has to be a miniature version of the actual experience of working with you. For example, you can conduct a blue sky day where you personally curate experts to talk to the client about the trends that apply to their current situation. You could work with the client to co-create the perfect project plan, and even take it further and talk through the plan together with internal decision makers. You could provide a technical analysis where you analyze something specific for the client, showcasing your expertise. Each of these examples give the client an experience of working with you. It's valuable in itself, but importantly, an effective give to get has a high likelihood of leading to a next step, like getting hired. Another way of thinking about it: invest just enough so the client sees both why they might need you and that hiring you is a safe, simple next step. You're in control of how much you invest, so invest just enough to give a genuine taste of your services, then use techniques from the rest of Give to Grow to navigate the relationship to the natural next step. You are a fine wine. Give them a taste. Gift 4 is to offer clarity and progress. Your client wants to make progress. They want to have simple options to move forward. Sometimes it can be intimidating to state our recommendations. We fear that it might come across as salesy or pushy, but the client's usually not worried about that. They're worried about that 10 meetings and 100 emails waiting for them after they talk with you. But instead of offering clarity, most people just leave it up to the client to decide what's next. But that's confusing. By definition, the client's talking to you about something they don't know how to do or don't have time to do. They need your help. Instead, I propose the following solution: always make a recommendation. Making a recommendation is the right thing to do, and doing it the right way helps the decision maker. When you make a recommendation, you're helping the client by making their life easier. It's mutually beneficial because you solidify your role as expert and guide. Then, to make your recommendations extra powerful, try these 2 things. After you make the recommendation, talk with the client to see what they think and solicit their improvement ideas. This harnesses a mental heuristic called the IKEA effect, validated by Michael Norton out of Harvard. Basically, once the client adds their own input, they'll find the recommendation more compelling. We buy into what we help create. Second, leave real time in your conversation to discuss the recommendation itself and make improvements. Too many people aren't willing to leave enough time after a recommendation for discussion. But a recommendation without any time to discuss and digest leads to confusion, not clarity. So here's a pro tip. One way to ensure you have enough time to discuss next steps is to start the meeting by suggesting the final 15 minutes be saved to talk about those next steps. That way, when the time is right, everyone's already agreed to transition and to focus on the future. With the 4 gifts on your side, you can guide clients to explore all the potential outcomes and determine the best approach to take, including the option of choosing to work with you. To learn more about the 4 gifts and dive deeper into implementing each, check out my book, Give to Grow, or watch the next video in the series here.